Cerrone with Mastermind Agent, and welcome to the webinar where we're going to learn about the 10-minute listing presentation. Learn how to speed up your appointments and sign more listings based on an agent who sells 1,300 homes per year. All right, we're going to be getting started in about 5 minutes. Just getting a little pre-training discussion going here. If you're just getting in, go ahead and type in your city in that chat box. Go ahead and find that on the page, the question and comment box. Type in your city, press enter. This second box will pop up that says login. Don't worry about logging in. Just type in your temporary name. When you type in your temporary name, press go, and that'll put you in the chat box so that you can be part of the Q&A at the end or ask questions as we're moving along. You won't have to think too much about it. Just type it in and we can get to it when we hit the Q&A. So great to have you here. We're going to get started in about 5 minutes. If you're just getting in, go ahead and type in your city and then enter your name, and we'll be ready to go. Hi, I'm Mike Cerrone with Mastermind Agent. Welcome to the webinar 10-minute listing presentation. Learn how to speed up your appointments and sign more listings based on an agent who sells 1,300 homes per year. Pretty exciting stuff. We'll be getting started in about 3 minutes. While we're waiting, go ahead and tell me where you are. Type in your city and press enter in that question and comment box. When the second screen pops open, it says login. Go ahead and just type in your name under the number 2 with the temporary name. Just type your name in there and press go. And when you do, you'll be live in our chat box. While we're waiting for some folks to come in, the folks that are here early, thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you type into that box what do you think is the way that an agent would put together a 10-minute listing presentation? Have you tried that? Have you been able to do a listing presentation in 10 minutes? Have you, maybe I have a better question for you. How long is your typical listing presentation? How about we start there? How long is your typical listing presentation? Go ahead and just type that into the box, and we'll see what some of the folks here have for timing. It's kind of funny. My very first listing presentation that I went out on, it's a little embarrassing, but I was there for 4 hours. Can you imagine? I can't even imagine that today. But I was there for 4 hours. I really didn't know what to do or what to say, so I just kept talking until I wore this poor lady down, and she agreed to hire me. I think she just hired me to get me out of her house. Uh, so I really wanted it to work. And I did a great job for her. But boy, 4 hours, 4-hour listing presentation. So how long is your typical listing presentation? If you're listening to me and you can hear me and you'd like to participate, tell me in that chat box, how long is your typical listing presentation? Or worse, tell me, what was the longest listing presentation you've ever been on? That's some funny stuff. All right, we're going to be getting started with the session here in about 2 minutes. And I'll check back in and see if you have given me the answers to that question. Hi, I'm Mike Cerrone with Mastermind Agent, and you're in the right place if you're here for the webinar 10-minute listing presentation. Learn how to speed up your appointments and sign more listings based on an agent who sells 1,300 homes per year. All right, if you're just getting in, go ahead and join us in the chat box, the question and comment box over there. It's going to be either on the right or underneath this. And just type in your city where you're at and number one, enter, and then type in your name under line 2, a temporary name, and press go. And then we'll have you in the chat box. Looks like we've got a couple people from California who put in anonymous. So it shows you're anonymous if you didn't put in a temporary name. Got Florida, welcome. Iowa, welcome. Janika, we've got from Charlotte, North Carolina. And hey, that's fantastic. I've got family out there. My mom's from there. Beautiful part of the country. Let's see, we got Elizabeth from West Covina in California. That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. Looks like nobody took me up on my question of how long is your longest listing presentation. Longest one I've ever went on was my very first one. It was 4 hours, a little embarrassing. So when I heard about what we're going to be talking about today, and you could do a listing presentation in 10 minutes, I was pretty blown away. That's pretty exciting. I was able to get mine down to about an hour, hour and a half. Not sure what you've been able to do. But let's do this. Let's go ahead and jump into the material itself. All right, so let's get started. Hi, I'm Mike Cerrone with Mastermind Agent. Welcome to the webinar 10-minute listing presentation. Learn how to speed up your appointments and sign more listings based on an agent who sells 1,300 homes per year. This is going to be a deep dive. It's going to be quick and to the point. We'll be done in about 60 to 70 minutes, and there'll be no replays, so please stay to the end. All right, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them into the box as you can think of them. I won't be answering questions as we go, but I will have a full Q&A question at the end. So like I'm trying to look over there. I don't see any questions right now, although I did see Janika told me that her very first listing appointment was about 2 hours, and it was so long, no kidding. Yeah, now just imagine doubling that to 4 hours. That's how long that very first one I did was. Again, that poor lady that I kind of wore down. But let's jump into the material. You're in the right place if you're a real estate agent who's tired of spending 1 to 2 hours of the listing appointment as looking for a faster solution. You want to improve your sign-up rate and quickly establish rapport, prove that you're the best agent for the job, and gain confidence of the seller, get hired to sell that home with efficiency and speed. And you want to list more homes in less time. Now, you may be noticing that I'm reading the bullet points as they're popping up. That's on purpose. If I don't, I'll go off on a tangent and we won't be able to get done in that hour goal time frame, and so I'm trying to keep myself on track. Also, just so you know, this is live. This is November 9th, 2017. It's about 11:03 Mountain Time. I'm in Denver, and so that'd be about 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast and 10 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. And again, thank you so much for joining. So we are live, and I'm happy to answer your questions. If you think of them as we go ahead and type them into that chat box so you don't forget what your question is, and we'll be able to get to those at the end. Okay, well, here's what you're going to learn today. You're going to learn how to give a 10-minute listing presentation based on an agent who sells 1,300 homes per year. This is some pretty cool stuff, so be sure to take lots of notes. How to provide enough information for the seller to make a decision without repeating yourself or droning on about things that the seller doesn't care about. Sorry, I was flashing back to my 4-hour listing presentation. Probably 3 hours and about 50 minutes of it was something the seller probably didn't care about. Why sellers want a shorter presentation and are more likely to hire you, and how to reduce your listing presentation to core elements that matter to the seller and eliminate all the extra babble that the seller doesn't really care about, and how to improve your listing presentation by shrinking it. Okay. Well, if I got a free surprise for you, if you do stay to the end, you can get a copy of my seller lead sheet, the seller intake form that I used to find seller motivation and timing. You ferret that out with asking the right questions, and then if they were ready to go, I had all the information and I'd set that appointment, and I'd be ready with all the details that I needed to prepare and go out on that presentation. And this is the form I used when I listed 21 homes in 30 days. So it's a pretty good form. I think you could jump right in and use it in your market. All right, so who's Mike Cerrone and why should you listen to him? If you've been with me before, you already know my background and my story. So just take a few minutes. If you haven't, though, there are a lot of new people on the call. So I'm going to go ahead and just tell you a little bit about me. First of all, I've had a real estate license for 24 years. I started out slow. In my first full year, I sold 7 homes, and my broker told me I was doing great. I didn't think so though, because I was living in a little one, wasn't even a 1 bedroom. It was a little studio apartment, a little teeny thing, maybe 400 square feet. Driving an old car, eating top ramen, wasn't able to go out with my friends. It was pretty rough. I'm surprised I actually stuck with it. I did figure some things out though, and I got up to about 20 closings per year. But then I kind of stalled out. I hit a ceiling. I couldn't figure out how to get beyond that. I was there for about 3 years in a row. I got a little frustrated, right? I got stuck. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I was hard headed. I wanted to figure it all out myself, do it my way, and everybody else could just watch me as I was such an expert. But really, I wasn't, and I was suffering. So if you get hard headed like that, be sure to open up and take in some new ideas. Well, 19 years ago, I heard about a 1-hour videotape of a top agent demonstrating his listing presentation. And I knew that if I focused on listings, it would stabilize my income because I have been working with buyers and my income was up 1 month. I have 1 or 2 closings a month with a buyer, and it was so exciting. And then I would suffer for the next 1, 2, maybe 3 months trying to find another buyer. And then I'd have another closing and I'd have an income, and then I wouldn't have income for another month or two. And I was getting tired of that up and down roller coaster ride. I don't know if anybody listening is on that, but that's not fun at all. But I wouldn't invest the money. I wouldn't put that $1,000 into that tape. That's about how much it would cost in today's dollars. And that was a big mistake. Every time I went out on a listing appointment, it wasn't that often, but when I did go out, I would usually blow it. And I would think about that tape, and because I figured, hey, the top agents are listing all these homes, they must be doing something that I'm not doing, and maybe I could find it out there. Well, 1 year later, I finally broke down after a lot of frustration, and I invested the money, and that tape came, but it was old days, so it came to me in a package in the mail. It took 2 weeks to get to me, and I ripped that package open, and I couldn't wait to watch it. So that night, I ran home, and I slammed it into the tape recorder, the VCR, and that shows how long ago this was, but I watched it over and over again, backwards and forwards. And the next day, I took just a couple of the things that I learned there that night, and I modified my listing presentation because I had a presentation the next day, and I took that listing with incredible ease. And I realized I'm onto something. My gosh, when I was on that presentation, the guy that I was listening to, his words were just kind of coming out of my mouth. It was really weird. I don't know if you've ever had that experience. But when I was looking across and I could see that the sellers were smiling, I knew that I was onto something. This was working. Well, I spent a few more hours rewatching the video and tweaking my presentation. I just kept modeling those top agents, what he said and how he presented to the seller. And of course, everything went up from there. That year, I focused on listings. My production doubled from 20 to 40. And just imagine doubling your production in 1 year. I went up from 20 to 41 closings that year, and I continued to master my presentation. And soon, I was listing 5 to 10 homes per month. I can't tell you, if you haven't done that before, it's super exciting. You realize you're on track and you're productive and things are happening. And in my best month, I got it up to 21 listings in 30 days. And by the way, that was at 21 different kitchen tables with 21 different sellers. That wasn't like an REO account or a builder account, or I'm trying to think what people have told me they thought it might be a friend of mine who had a bunch of listings. It wasn't any of that. There was 21 different sellers I went out and found, and also went out and listed. And by the way, probably went out on maybe 25 or 26 appointments to get those 21 homes listed. So I was pretty busy. My production jumped the next year to 95 closings. So I went from 41 to 95, doubled again. And then I was able to maintain. I got up to 113 closings the next year, and that year I was listed in the top 300 salespeople in the nation by the National Association of Realtors magazine. Pretty exciting. I couldn't find that magazine. I really thought I kept it, but I couldn't find it. But I did find online this. It shows the top 300 people in the nation. I was ranked number 263 that year with 113 closings. Pretty fun, exciting time. Well, the only mistake that I think that I made was that I waited that 1 year to buy that tape, right? After I did and I learned the information, I literally made 1,000 times my investment back over the next few years. I just wish I wouldn't have lost that year by waiting. So I realized that this listing process, though, is transferable, right? The top agent showed me what he was doing. Then I went out and did it. And I thought, geez, can I transfer this information to someone else? Well, I was getting super busy in my practice with all these listing appointments. It was pretty wild time. And so I decided that I needed to hire a listing specialist, a listing agent to help me out. Now, at the time, it was a very new concept. There were a couple people around the country that were doing it, and I'd learned about, but there was no one in my market doing it, and so no one in my market wanted to do it. They didn't know what it was, but I did bump in. I put out the request for someone to come in. I found one young man in his 20s, and his name was Jamie. He was the only one that applied, and he'd had his license for 6 months. He'd only closed 2 buyers. He'd never taken a listing. He was very friendly, and again, nobody else stepped up. Nobody else wanted the job, so I said, well, I got to try with this guy. Why not? It's kind of experimental anyway. And the first month, I trained him a few hours a week because I didn't have a lot of time. And by the end of the month, he got real restless, and I think he was ready to go. So the second month, I said, you know what? Why don't you go out on a couple solo listing appointments? Just go out by yourself, use some of my rejection leads, and just see what happens. Just here's the plan, here's the presentation. I showed you what it is. I showed you how to say it. Just go out and try something with the reject leads. And if you get them, great. And if you don't, that's fine. You're not going to lose anything because I didn't expect to list these people anyway. Well, amazingly, he started listing these homes. He listed over half the appointments he went on in his second month. And so by his third month on the job, he listed 14 homes in 30 days and was earning $10,000 a month net money. It was pretty incredible that somebody who had never listed a home before, was only 6 months in the business, starts to list 14 homes in 1 month. So how did this work? Modeling, right? I modeled the top agent and my production went up. Then Jamie modeled me and his production just skyrocketed. So people ask me, okay, Mike, that's a great story. What happened after that? Well, I went on and I built real estate brokerages and mortgage brokerages and real estate investment companies. I had a lot of confidence after that. And now I sold and I'm semi-retired from real estate. And if you've ever been in that position, it gets kind of boring. So I decided, what else can I do? I love real estate, working with real estate agents. It was the funnest part of my life. So I said, let's do that some more. So today I interview the top agents in the nation for success calls on the Mastermind Agent Network. Maybe you've heard some of those. They're pretty exciting, a lot of fun. And occasionally I host summits with top trainers and top agents around the country. And I recently hosted the Listing Agent Summit where 14 top agents demonstrated their listing presentations in detail and showed us their exact presentations and scripts and handouts. So now I'm going to share some of those findings with you. That's why I want you to know where this stuff is coming from. And in fact, I want you to know these are really top agents. So the 14 top agents that were at the summit, here they are. And I'll go through real fast. You had Eric Hatch, who sold 508 homes in 1 year worth $108 million. I mean, isn't that kind of mind-blowing? And then you got Chantal Rea, who blows those numbers away. She's going to close 1,300 homes in 1 year. You got Brian Macker. He's got a very small team. He's doing all the listings himself, 235 homes in 45 million in 1 year. Melinda Estridge, who does more upper end work, and she's got 120 homes sold at 70 million. You got Nate Martinez doing a lot of volume, 616 homes worth 68 million in 1 year. You got Patrick Tuttle, 80 homes worth 15 million. Plus Patrick is managing a couple hundred rental properties. You got Paul Wheeler, 248 homes worth 35 million, and a great guy, does a very soft approach, and we'll talk about that later. But Judy Jackson, 7 homes in 7 days. She listed 7 homes in 7 days. She's a listing specialist on a team. Loves doing that and working with sellers exclusively because now she got back her evenings and weekends, right? Pretty awesome stuff. You got Shane White, 212 homes worth 36 million. You got Steve Cohen, 106 homes worth 26 million. All awesome people. You got Shar McCullum. We got 210 homes worth 35 million. Bob McTagg, 210 homes worth 32 million. Wayne Turner, 286 homes worth 51 million, and Denny Grimes, 500 homes worth 150 million. These are all top agents. So the information I'm about to share with you is coming from some of the best agents in the nation. Okay. Well, after they did their presentations, I got to videotape them, and I went back and I watched these 14 demonstrations of the top agents doing their listing presentations. And I kind of obsessed like I had done before when I was younger, and I got that tape in the mail, and I watched the training sessions over and over, and I was amazed with all the details that they were providing. It was amazing how much they were willing to give. So I was picking stuff up in the second viewing I missed in the first, and the third viewing I missed in the second, because there was so much coming out. It was like drinking from a fire hose. And so each top agent was sharing so much. I couldn't get it the first time, although I got a lot. I just couldn't get it all. But I wanted to see the patterns, right? I feel my job is to go out there and see what's working right now in the market, take it, put it together in one place so that you can absorb it and shoot your business up. So I went out there and looked for the patterns, and I mimicked these best and how you could mimic the best practices, right? And I put those together, and I actually ended up creating this 39-page listing presentation template that I'm super excited about. And I modeled it after these common elements that I saw in the top agents' presentations. And now what I'd like to do is I'd like to share a major lesson that I learned. There's just so much, I can't do all of them, of course, in 1 hour, but I'll share a major lesson here. And to understand where it fits in the big process, I think you need to see the 10-step listing process that the top agents use. Again, as I was watching these things over and over again, I noticed this pattern of all these top agents. They were following the same process. Now, they weren't identical, by the way. They all had their personalities and their tweaks into what they did, but they basically fell into this 10-step process. So number one, they would screen and set. They would qualify that seller for timing and motivation, and if it was good, they'd set the appointment, and then they'd send out a pre-listing package either by mail or email, sometimes hand-delivered, to pre-sell the seller on them and to speed up the listing presentation. And then they would go to the property and they'd do a greeting tour and create some rapport, and then they'd re-qualify the seller and make sure the seller really wants to move before they waste any more time, right? They want to make sure this is a good opportunity, and then they'd establish their expertise and make sure that the seller knew they knew what they were doing. Then they would show their marketing plan and how they were going to get that property sold. And they'd value the property and show them where they think that it falls into the market and get the seller's buy-in on that. Then they would go through the net sheet and show all the actual estimated costs, so there are no surprises to the seller. Seller knows exactly where they're going to end up. And then the closing and handling the objections. They'd close for that signature and they'd resolve any questions that popped up. And then they'd tell the seller, here's what's going to happen next. And they'd give them some information about how they're going to take the next step. A very quick order, right? I mean, as long as you know where you want to go, it's a nice, simple 10-step process. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to focus in on number 6, the marketing plan, and outlining your method of selling homes. That's where we're going, and why I want to see where it fits into the process. So we're going to talk about top agent Chantal Rea. Chantal Rea, pretty incredible person. And here's what she had to say. Move quickly. Don't waste the seller's time. Hit the highlights. Don't bore the seller. So top agent Chantal Rea moves quickly through her 10-minute listing presentation slideshow that she and her team will use to list and sell 1,300 homes this year. An amazing number, isn't it? I mean, it's almost mind-boggling. Chantal is just one of those alpha people that just goes 100% all the time. She's very caring, very smart, just a great business person, and this is what she's set up. So we're going to look at what she does. And so Chantal says that anything longer than 10 minutes is a waste of time and will lose the seller's interest. So she put together a 23-page PowerPoint slideshow highlighting all the major areas of her listing program. And she has a heavy focus on her marketing program and pricing the home right. And it includes, as you can see from the slides popping up, a lot of pictures. She likes graphics. So you can see Chantal's entire slideshow inside the summit. But what I want to do here is I want to show you some of the incredible slides that she has so that you can take these ideas and just implement them right away into what you're doing. So again, take a lot of notes. So here we go. First, I have a big confession, okay? There's something you need to understand. After looking at 14 of the top agent marketing plans, none of them are extraordinary. I want that to sink in for a minute. So after looking at 14 of the top agent marketing plans, none are extraordinary. None is running a full-page ad in magazines. right? None is spending thousands to promote a listing with a gold leaf flyers. None is flying an airplane banner overhead. I mean, are you ready for this? No top agent is doing more to promote a home than the average traditional common agent. You are probably already doing as much or even more marketing. The difference is the top agents promote and describe the simple things that they are doing to find a buyer as a huge benefit for the seller. Just let that sink in. They're just better at explaining what they're doing. It's not that they're doing more or they have this monster marketing budget to sell a property. Again, they're probably doing what you're doing. Now let's break this down for a minute, right? What sells a listing? There are only three things that sell a listing: price, condition, and location. You know that, right? It's price, condition, and location. You can modify, by the way, right? You can modify the price to absorb a condition or location problem. If you have great condition, you can modify the price. If you have a great location, you can work that into the price. Now, location is the only thing you can't change unless you're selling mobile homes or something, but the location is set. But based on that location, whether you're next to a busy highway or on a quiet street, that will affect the price and the ability to sell it. So technology, when used properly, will expose the home to the market and bring in a buyer if the price, condition, and location are in alignment. So basically, the MLS will sell the home. You guys know that instinctively, right? That is what our ancestor agents discovered way back in, I don't know when they started, the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and they had the big giant books, right? And then they finally moved into an electronic version. Well, they wisely developed it. And the reason they developed it is the cooperative system of selling homes works. So even with the advent of the internet, which, by the way, if you were part of that when it came out, it was supposed to wipe us off the planet Earth, right? It did that to one of those people, I can't even think of their name anymore, the people that used to go buy your airline tickets from. It did wipe those people off the planet, which was sad. And then they thought they were going to wipe everybody off the earth that did transactions, including real estate agents. Well, guess what? It didn't happen. Right? No system has been proven better than our simple MLS and our cooperation. Buyers and sellers want assistance from a real live person to help them navigate the process. This is a huge, huge, expensive investment, right? Now, each transaction has its own unique challenges, and that's why they want someone who can navigate through. Someone has to interpret the data, that's us, and help negotiate the deal. That's us again. We have a lot of experience in those areas. Now, that said, inventory is promoted, discovered, compared, and documented in the MLS. That's where we keep the database of this information of our track record of what's happened in the past. Now, if you don't believe me that the MLS is the way to sell a home, here's what I want you to do as an experiment. The next 10 listings you take, don't use the MLS to research values. Hear what I said? You cannot look in the MLS to determine the value. You can't. You just have to guess or use some other approach. And you cannot enter that property in the MLS to promote it. What's going to happen? You think you can get that home sold? Maybe, but it's going to take a really long time, and you'll never know if you actually got the highest price for that seller, right? That's always going to be a problem because you didn't expose it to all the buyers in the market. That's what the MLS does, right? It gives us the valuation to start. We have a place to start, a basis for a start. And then it gives great exposure out to all the other buyers because we're all cooperating together. And then from that, we're going to get the result of most likely the fastest sell in the shortest amount of time. Now, negotiation comes into that play, but I'm just talking about the MLS right now. Without the MLS, it'd be almost impossible for us to do our job. You got to start there. And you got to get that concept in your head first before you understand what these top agents are doing, what they're marketing, and why they do it, right? So here's a dirty little secret. Ready for a dirty little secret? Top agents have figured this out. They know that spending extra money to promote a home beyond the MLS is a waste and typically done only to pacify a seller. Boy, I got to read that one again, right? The top agents know that spending extra money to promote a home beyond the MLS is a waste and typically done only to pacify a seller. I remember spending so much money trying to get more exposure on properties, and it never seemed to do as good or do as much as what happened just from the traditional sell. And I realized I was blowing a lot of cash. And I think the top agents have done that too. You know, we want so bad to help our sellers and do a great job. And then we realize we're doing things that don't actually help them. Well, the top agents don't spend money on non-productive things. That's why they're top agents and why they have these great income streams is they don't waste money on things that don't work. That's why their marketing plan is simple as all the other agents in the market, all the other basic, simple agents. They're doing basic, simple things. That's all you need to do. Again, the top agents just know how to point out the seller benefits of the common marketing. In other words, they're better at promoting their services, right? And that's what you need to do if you're not listing at a high volume. So recognize this as we look at Chantal's listing presentation. She is a super, super duper smart business person and will only invest in property promotion that pays off in a sale. So let's look at a few of the pages in her 23-page listing presentation. All right, so page 1, right? She sets out her goal. It's very simple. Notice how much graphics is going on. She says, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, our expertise, energy, and experience will get your home sold for the most money in the shortest time. We are the #1 team to get your home sold. Everyone knows if it has to sell, call Chantal. There's a lot going on in there, right? So first of all, I want to answer a thing that people get a hang up about. She says she's #1 in marketing your home. Could you be #1 in marketing the home? Absolutely. That's called puffery, right? She didn't say she was the top agent by sales volume or top agent by this, that, or the other, you know, things that are identifiable. She just talked about a generic in marketing. And you can say that too, right off the bat. Your very first time you go out, you're #1 in your ambition. You're #1 in helping the seller achieve their goals. That's an opinionated statement, isn't it? And that's why you can use that number, #1. By the way, does the seller care? The seller probably doesn't care that much other than, yeah, they want to work with somebody who knows what they're doing. Okay, let's look at what else she's got going on here. She has that little jingle. If it has to sell, call Chantal. That's nice little rhythmic jingle. And you can think of something like that for yourself as well. So notice how simple and fast the delivery was. How long did it take me to say that statement? And what we're talking about, maybe 10 seconds? It establishes professionalism with that logo and the jingle. And I really like how she's put it together in this graphic in the middle, right? Expertise, I'm pointing at it, but you can't see that. But the expertise, energy, experience equals sold. Gets that right in people's mind. Graphics are great. All right, page 3, MLS, advertising your home. So the first marketing point is to place the home in the MLS, right? We just talked about that. So do you do this? I bet you do, right? Top agents promote homes like everyone else. There's nothing extraordinary about it. Top agents are not afraid to describe all the little details that all agents do to sell homes. Top agents do not assume that the seller knows what we do. So they turn every action into a benefit for the seller and their goal of a faster sell and a higher price. Again, it comes back to the fact that these top agents are simply better promoters. They're better at describing or explaining to the seller what they're doing on their behalf. And in this case, also putting it in a graphical representation that they can quickly absorb. Okay, page 4 is she talks about the internet and marketing over the internet, right? So here's another example. All listings that you place in the MLS are syndicated and placed on hundreds of listing portals and IDX feeds for internet buyers to see. You know that, right? You do know that. But look at this graphic. It describes it to the seller in graphic detail. It just pops up off on the page. And what do you see when you see this page? You see all these different the different websites. They just jump out at you. Some are common that you've seen before, like I see Facebook and HGTV. And if you just look in here, you're going to see some you recognize. You're going to see some you never heard of before. Resortscape, I don't know what that is, but I've heard of Homes and Land, you know, and that's what the sellers are going to be doing. They're going to say, I've heard of that one. I don't know about that one, but I think I should be out there. And that's why this is so powerful. Okay. But Chantal does not assume that the seller knows that these properties are being syndicated out there. So she turns it into a giant benefit. So instead, she takes the credit for it. And you know what? She should take the credit for this happening because she is paying her MLS fees, just like you are, and describes to the seller that this is a benefit, right? So pretty powerful stuff. She researched some of the posting sites, got their logos, and presented to the seller as part of her plan. And you can do the same, right? This is what's happening out there in the market. You just describe it to the seller and take credit for it because you are the one that you're the reason that this is happening. You put it in the MLS, you got it out there, you're the reason this is happening. So page 7, she talks about Facebook. So Facebook is included in her plan. And why? Well, it's hot. Sellers want to know you're on the cutting edge. But let's look close at what she's actually doing, okay? What is she promoting? Well, she's promoting that she will post the home on Facebook on her business page. And then the sellers, she asked the sellers to like and comment and share the post with their friends. At that point, is that all free? Absolutely. And who's actually doing the work to promote the home? The seller is promoting their own home out there. And she does it on purpose to start because that boosts up things that she's going to do later that Facebook likes. So now it's going to get some likes and some comments and some shares. And then she's going to turn around and she's going to spend about $10 to boost the post out into the market, out into that area where the property is. Not a lot of money, 10 bucks, right? But because it had all the likes, shares, and comments from the seller's work, now it's going to get spread even faster by Facebook. Well, can you do that? I mean, how simple is that? I mean, can you spend 10 bucks? I hope so. If you can't spend 10 bucks, just maybe you should, call it quits. All right, just be sure to brag to the seller about what you're doing and what you did. You must always toot your own horn. And that's what Chantal is doing right here. She's setting it up in the beginning that, hey, this is what we're going to do together. Look how cool this is. All right. Page 14, costs of overpricing. This is a great page. She spent a lot of time on this page. Her presentation, by the way, she did her presentation for me. I didn't tell you that part. She did the presentation, and it was about 10, maybe 11 minutes tops. It was incredible. And this is the page she spent the most time on because she wants to get the price right. So Chantal describes the true cost of overpricing the home in this quick one-page document. So this is a slideshow for her. She lists 6 dangerous outcomes to pricing too high at the start, right? Well, you can read them right there in the middle with the bullet points. You'll lose the excitement that a new listing generates. You'll lose the most qualified applicants. It'll make your competition look better. Your home may become stale on the market. You'll lose a strong negotiation position. And if you don't get an offer, you may lose the deal. Excuse me, if you do get an offer, you may lose the deal because the house may not appraise to that value, right? Pretty strong. And those are the points you want to hit when you're talking about pricing. They're right there on the slide, so you don't forget. She is preparing the seller to be reasonable before they even talk about the price. Right? This is happening before they got to the CMA. It's a great graphic with lots of awesome information. Notice how all of her slides are professional, yet they're promoting things that we all understand. She's just presenting it as a benefit to the seller in a very professional way. And my favorite part and what she kept commenting on was this plane, right? It's such a simple little graphic, but this plane that's dragging this banner behind it. And we could fly, and she says this, we could fly a plane over your house for $5,000 a day, but unless it's priced correctly, it will not sell. She probably said that 3 or 4 or 5 times because it really drills the point home. I like exaggeration. That's another good example of exaggeration to drive a point home because people get it. And if you say it in a funny way, they'll laugh and smile with you as well. But they're getting it. They're getting it. If they overprice this thing, it ain't moving. All right, page 16, prepare for a price reduction. So this is another great slide that she has. Look at this great example of her preparing that seller for a future price reduction. She's going to put it in their head right up front what they should be looking for. It basically says, hey, look, if you have 8 to 10 showings with no offers, or we've gone 2 weeks on the market with no showings, then we got to have a price reduction because we're out of tune with the market and something's wrong and we need to adjust right away so we don't waste 6 months on the market without getting your home sold. Does that make sense? Yes. Boom, you're there. So, and isn't that what you want? Don't you want it in the seller's head that if you're generating all these showings and it's not selling, they need to make an adjustment? And they say, well, I don't want to change the price. Fine, change the condition. completely remodel the home. That's another thing you can do. Or change the location. Let's pick up the house and move it, relocate it to another spot. Well, Mike, we can't move it to another spot. I know. Mike, we can't remodel the whole house. I know. So let's change the price. Let's get it in line, right? Okay, so you got to be able to handle that, prepare for it up front. So page number 21, the close. Going for the close. All right, so I like how Chantal includes the close script on the slide and made it part of her presentation, right? It's a great way to ensure that you will not forget to ask for the order. How many times have you done that as a salesperson? I know I have. You go out there, you make a great presentation, and then you forget to ask for the order, and you wonder why you didn't get it. So she has it right there on the slide. Can you see how this combination of marketing and systems is going to allow us to sell our homes faster and for top dollar? And the seller's going to be nodding their head yes, right? That's the end of her 10 minutes, 11 minutes. She's ready to rock. She's going for the signature. By the way, that's what she does right here. If they say yes, she says, great, sign here. You got to listen to her presentation. She's great. Just sign here. We're ready to go. All right. So it's short and sweet. When you prepare your listing presentation, keep it short and sweet. You don't need a lot of text, okay? You don't need a lot of text. People prefer pictures, think television, computer screens, mobile phones. Just hit the highlights, entertain, and educate quickly. Always point out the benefits to that seller of why they should use you. List all the tasks that you complete for the seller of the home. The other agents are not doing that. If you simply do that, you're going to stand up and above everybody else. Then circle the ones that the seller will be most impressed with and highlight those in your slides. That's how you're going to set this up. You'll end up with a fast and effective listing presentation. Well, I'm not sure why you showed up today. It could be that you want to know how to create a 10-minute listing presentation to reduce your time at each listing appointment. It could be that you want to improve your listing presentation so you sign more sellers and beat out other agents in this hyper-competitive market. It could be you want to gain the confidence of knowing you have an awesome presentation so you can start attracting sellers to you. And it could be you want to learn how the top agents list and sell hundreds of homes each year. You want to do it too. Well, if there's one thing you can take away from today, it's that I've cracked the code for modeling the top agents' listing presentations and duplicating their results. It literally changed my world, the world of my new listing agent, and the world of my students. It's very much a replicatable system that you can apply to your real estate practice. And you can finally have a consistent, dependable monthly income stream and the freedom to enjoy it. So the obvious question is, how can you adapt this code, this system, this model of the top agent listing presentations to your business and create a consistent monthly income? Well, you have a choice. You can do it slowly, using trial and error, taking some of what I shared today, or you can do it quickly using the models in the Listing Agent Summit Recordings training program. When in doubt, bring in Einstein. Everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. Well, what is the Listing Agent Summit Recordings? At the summit, 14 top agents demonstrated their listing presentation as we watched over their shoulder and onto their computer screens. You're going to be able to see and download their real-life listing presentation, their actual presentation documents. I mean, this stuff is gold. Hear and mimic their words and scripts that they use and model their best practices. And it was all recorded on video. You get to see it on video. By the way, you also get it in MP3 if you want to listen to it while you're working or walking around, doing your exercise, driving in the car, etc. It is there for you. Now, this is absolutely the fastest way to go from point A to point B. You know, you can get to your goal slowly in this funky looking car there, or you can get there quickly in a hot red Ferrari. It's your choice. So here's what you get. You get videos. You get 14 training videos of the top agents demonstrating their exact listing presentations in detail. And I wanted to tell you that they did it 3 different ways. The first way is they did a role play with me where I was the seller and they're the listing agent, and they sold me on why I should hire them. They just walked me through their actual presentation. And the second way they did it was they're more analytical, and they said, here's what I do first, here's what I do second, here's why I do third, this is why I do it. By the way, here's the document I used to show that. Here's what I do fourth. Here's what I do fifth. Here's how I walk them all the way down to signing the listing. And then I had a third group that did both. They would do a role play, and then they would step back. They say, Mike, I want to step back, and I want to tell everybody, here is why I did it this way. Here's why I said this. Here's why I showed them this document, and here's the typical result that I get. And it was incredible. So there's a lot of different ways. The reason I gave you 14 is you can learn from all these different styles, find the one that fits you best, and that's the one you can use. And by the way, some of them were real fast. I think the fastest was 45 minutes with Chantal Rea. I mean, she's a very fast talker, right to the point, boom. And then some of them were an hour, hour and a half, 2.5 hours, because they were given so much. They just want to pour it all out there. Believe me, you watch these things, your listing presentation success rate is going way, way up. So samples and handouts on top of the videos, you get dozens of downloadable samples and handouts so you can see their entire listing system from start to finish. You're going to get to see their seller lead sheet and appointment setting script, exactly what they say, the questions that they ask, the information that they need so they can make a decision. Is this person ready to move forward or not? If they are, I'm setting the appointment. And if I do, I've got all the information I need right now so I can prepare for that appointment. Then the pre-listing package, what they send out to pre-sell them before they even show up. What's in the package, you get to see that. You get to see how they put it together and how they're sending it out. You get listing presentations with full marketing plans. You get to see their entire presentation, including these simple marketing plans. They're going to blow your mind how simple they are, right? But I want you to see what those are and see how they promoted themselves, and they take these simple ideas and they show why they work. Okay. Pricing charts and graphs. So you want to make sure that that seller prices the home correctly. Use charts and graphs to show them why they need to narrow in on the right price at the beginning. And then forms and checklists to make sure that you're collecting all the appropriate information, that you're taking the seller down the appropriate path and making sure you stay on track. And then seller handouts. What do you give the seller at the end of the presentation to make sure they know what's going to happen next? Like preparing their homes for photos and showing the showings, how to prepare for showings, a quick checklist. All right, so it all comes down to a simple idea. If you want to list homes like the top agents, model the top agent listing presentations and get the same results. It's really that simple. It worked for me, it worked for my listing agent, and it'll work for you. So how much will this cost me? It's a good question. 19 years ago, I wanted to see inside the listing presentations of one top agent who is listing and selling 200 homes per year. I wanted to be just like him. So after 1 year of procrastinating, it was a big waste, but I finally broke down and I finally got his 1 hour videotape. I got to see his materials, listen to how he presented, and understand his philosophy. Was it worth it? Absolutely. I watched the video. I made it my own. I practiced. I went out and started taking listings, lots and lots of listings. Very quickly, I started listing 5 to 10 homes per month. And in my best month, I listed 21 homes in 30 days. Now, why do I tell you that? Because I want you to get up to 5 to 10 listings per month. I'm telling you, it's super exciting. I want you to get up to have a single month where you list 21 homes. I mean, that's more than most people do in a year. Well, I just modeled the top agents and it worked. Now, I made my investment back with my very first listing when it closed. And then I made literally thousands of times my investment back over the next few years. I would never trade that experience. I only wish I would not have procrastinated and waited that 1 year. I would have been earning that much faster. Well, eventually I want to expand with a listing agent, so I hired a new agent who only had his license for 6 months and only closed 2 buyer transactions, and he was listing homes in his second month with my reject leads. He listed 14 homes in 30 days in his third month. And again, why do I tell you that? I bet you've got more than 6 months experience, and I bet you've done more than sell 2 buyers. I bet you've listed a few homes. Just imagine how fast you could ramp up. This guy who had never taken a listing had listed 14 homes in his third month in the business. Well, his third month on the team. All right, his third month with these ideas and these concepts, right? These concepts are transferable. Anyone can learn how. Modeling successful systems is the key. I modeled the top agents and quickly became a success. Then my new listing agent modeled me and ramped up fast. Now you can model the top agents and start listing homes too. So what is the value? Well, that 1 hour VCR videotape I purchased with one top agent basically cost me $1,000 in today's money. And it was just the video. It didn't have any handouts. Well, in this summit, there are 14 top agents demonstrating their exact listing presentations and sharing their handouts. So based on that, the 14 video recordings should cost $14,000. And they'd be worth it, right? A couple of closings, they'd be paid for. And every listing after that would be pure profit. But you don't have to pay $14,000. You don't even have to pay $10,000. Now, I thought about $5,000, but you don't have to pay $5,000. And what a lot of the top trainers told me is that I should charge $2,000 for this program. And it made a lot of sense, but I still felt that was a little too much. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make it so that you can get the entire summit recordings for only one payment of $997 today. Just one payment of $997 today. You get all 14 top agents demonstrating their listing presentations, and you can dive right in and become the expert. Right now is a perfect time to do this, isn't it? It's the end of the year. You probably have a little bit of free time right now. You can capitalize on it by taking this information, learning all these incredible things from the top agents, and have it all ready to go into place starting January 1 of next year and have an extraordinary year. Well, people ask me, Mike, I really think this is a great idea. I really want to do this, but do you have any kind of payment plans? And I thought about it. I said, what's the best thing I could do? And so I set up so you could do $97 per month. So you can start today for $97, and then it'll go out for 12 payments. And that's a webinar only special. So you can get that offer here on the webinar. And yes, you get the whole thing right now. I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm not going to give you one listing today and one listing presentation demonstration today, one demonstration in a month from now, and show you the third agent on the third month. Forget that. I'm going to give you the whole thing right now so you can dive in. And in fact, it might be a little overbearing at first because there's so much. That's okay. Work your way through it, because just listening to what they say starts absorbing into your head. It's like osmosis. Well, they've got 3 fast action bonuses. I love action takers, and I call these student-driven bonuses, as they were all designed at the request of the Summit students to make this training even more easy and simple. Remember Einstein. So fast action bonus number 1 is the seller lead sheet template, right? So what I did was I went out and I looked at all those 14 top agents and their systems, and I created a simple Word template that you can use right out of the box, or you can modify it. It has all the questions, all the common questions the top agents were asking, all in one place. You can quickly grab all the data you need for the listing presentation. You can find out even where they are on the disc profile. It's amazing what's in this simple one-page form. Well, you can use it quickly to determine the seller's motivation and timing and set the appointments with the best leads, and be prepared to go right out on that presentation. Now we got fast action bonus number 2, listing presentation template. I'm very proud of this, by the way. Let me tell you why this came about. So you're getting all this information and all these examples that you can look and mimic and mirror that the top agents are doing, right? You can use them as a model, but you can't just go use like that, I don't know why I keep forgetting what you call this thing, where you clip out your picture and you put it on somebody else's body, Photoshop. You can't just go Photoshop the documents they have. You have to actually create yours. Now you can use theirs as an example of what to do. So, but the agent said, geez, Mike, how can I do that even faster? I said, you know what? Tell you what, let's create this listing presentation template so you can get running even faster, where you really can just drop your picture and information in and be up and going. So I modeled the common elements of the top agent presentations. I put them all in one document, and it turned out to be a 39-page fill-in-the-blank template in both Word and PowerPoint. So Word, you can print it out, you can show it in I used to do a little spiral binder. You can show it that way. Or PowerPoint, you can show them the slides like Chantal does and get right to it real quick. So you can enter your name. All you have to do is enter a couple things like name, photo, email, phone number, a couple pieces of data, and you're ready to go. And you can start selling like the pros. In 24 hours or less, you'll have your whole listing presentation up and running. Now, fast action bonus number 3. Had a lot of requests for this. People said, geez, Mike, sounds like you had a great presentation, listed 21 homes in 30 days. Can I see that? I said, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and do my presentation for the folks just like the top agents did, and I'm going to demonstrate my exact listing presentation that I used to list all those homes. And you can now download that presentation, look at it, modify it, do whatever you want with it. And you can see my marketing plan in there, including my price bracket strategy and how I close for the listing at my full commission rate. Now that price bracket strategy is super awesome. Basically what it does is it shows you how to get the seller to price their home correctly by putting them into this bracket. You show them these brackets of pricing. So they're going to price correctly right there at the listing, or if they don't, you can easily get them to adjust within a couple of weeks down to where they need to be. In fact, because of the price brackets and showing them that, I was often able to just write into the additional provisions, if the home doesn't sell by X date, this shall be the new price. If the home is not under contract by this date, this is the new price. And by the way, ask your broker and your attorney how you want to write that. But that's the idea, and it worked like a charm. Now, I got a webinar-only bonus. You can just get this right here if you're on the webinar. It's pretty cool. I had people say, Mike, this is awesome. Love this idea of learning how to do my presentation and get more people signed up faster. But how do I get more sellers to sit in front of? How do I get more sellers? By the way, I believe that if you get your presentation down, that happens automatically because you stop sabotaging what you're doing out there to find leads. That's what happened for me. Once I got my presentation down, I'm like, hey, I need some people to present this to, and I went out there and started finding people. Okay, but I'm going to give you something on top of that, and that's this: a copy of the Agent Lead Generation Summit recordings. What happened is I went out and talked to 17 top agents, and they answered this question in detail. What is your number one best lead generation method in today's market? Right? And you get to look over their shoulder. This is a video. You get to look over their shoulder and onto their computer screens as they describe exactly how they did it. And they did a lot of different ways. They had Facebook ads for sellers, Facebook ads for sellers, not buyers, for sellers, geographic farming, past client sphere of influence and referrals, internet leads, pay-per-click, SEO, and IDX, phone prospecting, if you want to go out to people, even open houses, if you want to bring people to you. Lots of different ways to make this business work based on your personality and what your goals are. These people are showing what's worked best for them. Okay, well, when you invest in the program, you have my personal 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not happy, I'm not happy. You just send me an email and you'll get an immediate refund. Now, here's what to do now. Click that big red button under the screen that looks like this, and here's what's going to happen next. You'll see this page. Just enter your info, and then next, you're going to pick your payment option, either the 1-pay or the 12-pay, and then you're going to click the big green order button at the bottom of the form. And then you're going to be taken here. You're going to receive an email within 15 minutes with your username and password, and you just enter it right there on that page that you're at the beginning of the membership site, and you're able to go right in. You'll be taken inside with full access to everything. Everything is already set up. In fact, all your fast action bonuses and webinar bonuses are already preloaded. So like this is the very first presentation you see from Eric Hatch, and you'll notice it's 94 minutes and 30 seconds. It went an hour and a half describing his entire process to make sure that you got everything. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. And in this one, Eric focused, he gave us his entire presentation, but he's been doing all these in-office appointments. So he walks you through how he's doing the in-office appointments, getting an 85% show-up rate and a 70% show-up rate. And again, most of these people don't know him, so it's pretty incredible. Well, it all starts with taking action today. You can do it slowly using trial and error, taking some of what I shared today, or you can do it quickly and model the top 14 top agents inside the Listing Agent Summit recordings. So here's what to do now. Just click that big red button on this page, and you'll get immediate access to the Listing Agent Summit recordings, where you'll find 14 videos of the top agents demonstrating their exact listing presentations. You can download the dozens and dozens of the samples of their pre-listing presentation, marketing plans, their checklists, all these incredible documents that you can use right away. And then fast action bonus number 1, seller lead sheet template in Word. So you immediately have that. You can start talking to sellers on the phone right now. And then fast action bonus number 2, listing presentation template in Word, where you can see exactly how they're where you can take that and turn it into your presentation right away based on those top agents. Just enter a couple pieces of information. Your fast action bonus number 3, where you get to see how I did it in my presentation. I listed 21 homes in 30 days. And you have the webinar only bonus, the Agent Lead Generation Summit, where you can see how the top agents are generating seller leads into their business. So you can get this whole thing going, a full system. And then you got lifetime access and a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you could do it with 1 pay or 12 pay, whichever is better for you. Now, right now, let's go into the Q&A. You may have some questions for me on how Chantal does her 10-minute listing presentation. You may have questions about the Listing Agent Summit. That's great. Any kind of questions you have, go ahead and throw them in there, and let's take care of them. So to ask a question, go to the bottom of this question and comment box and type in your question, press enter, and then when the next screen pops up on line 2, type in your name. If you've already done that once, you only have to do it once, and then go ahead and let me know what your questions are. So I'm going to leave this screen up as I go over and see what questions we have. All right, let's see what we got. Let's take a look. Well, we got a lot of people now telling us where they're from, which is cool. Maui, that's pretty awesome. And Minnesota, cool. And Charles, we got South Carolina and Iowa and more North Carolina. That's cool. Well, I'm not seeing any questions, though. Let me give you a couple minutes. I know there's a little bit of a time delay. And boom. Shockingly, I'm not seeing any questions. Let me try to think of what questions I've had when I've presented this information in the past. I think the biggest one is people getting over that idea that they have to be there a long time. And the second one is this idea that you have to create some amazing marketing plan that's so complicated and sophisticated that it would cost $1 bajillion and be too complicated to actually do. But that's not what the top agents are doing. So I think those are the common questions. And I'm surprised with how many people we have that we don't have any more questions. Well, I'm going to give about 10 more seconds, and then I'm going to call this one good. Maybe we just hit all the answers inside, which is fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. Well, very good. So what I'm going to do then is let's do this. I promised you a free surprise if you stay to the end. And here it is, a copy of my seller lead sheet, the seller intake form that I use to find seller motivation and timing and set the appointment when I listed 21 homes in 30 days. All right, so open a new internet browser window and type this in. We've got www.mastermindagent.com/lead sheet. So if you go there, you can get a copy of this document. Go to www.mastermindagent.com/lead sheet, and you can get a copy of my seller intake form that I use to find seller motivation and timing and set appointments with the most motivated people. So hope you go over there and pick a copy of that up. I hope this has been a very helpful presentation, and you go out there and reduce your listing presentation to its essence, get the information out there quickly and simply for that seller, and start signing more listings. Again, enjoyed the time together. Have a productive week, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye now.